Okay, so today we're going to be talking about building a base. Our agenda for today is that we're going to be selecting a topic. You're going to be identifying 3 viewpoint pairs, and we're going to talk about what makes a pair. And you're going to be finding evidence to support your viewpoints. We are going to be in the connect phase today in our inquiry model because we're still picking a topic and developing our background knowledge for the topic. So the first thing I want you to do today is to take out yesterday's handout, which you actually would have opened digitally, and I want you to navigate to the database, and I want to make sure that you have this handout. Okay? This is a paper handout that you can download from Classroom if you aren't in class, don't have a paper handout. So the first thing you're going to do as our little warm-up is you are going to find 3 different people, and you are going to share the topic and the viewpoint. Remember, the viewpoint's going to be a bullet. The viewpoint and a topic you found most interesting with 3 different people. So find 3 different people, tell them your viewpoint and topic that you found most interesting, and then we'll come back together. So yesterday, you should have identified a bunch of different topics, and for each topic, you should have come up with a variety of viewpoints. Your goal or your homework last night was to make sure that you identified one topic that you found most interesting. Our goal for the end of the day today is going to be to pick one of these viewpoints to actually focus on. Okay, so yesterday your homework was to pick a topic. Today your homework is going to be to pick a viewpoint. And we're going to go through a process of helping you figure out which viewpoint is going to be the best option. So here's the paper handout you saw. I flashed it on the screen at the beginning of the period. We're going to be working with this handout. We have done concept mapping in the past, and this is kind of like concept mapping, but it's not quite as like free range. It's much more specific. We have some very specific goals for what we want you to examine and what we want you to look at. Today, we are going to think about the topic you've identified, and most of you saw this graphic yesterday. For example, my topic was junk food, and we talked about how for each topic, there are multiple controversies. So I said for this junk food topic, there could be a controversy about banning junk food in schools, a controversy for banning sale of Big Gulp sodas in convenience stores. For each of these different controversies, there are 2 different viewpoints. So for banning junk food in schools, there's one group of people that thinks this way, and there's another group of people that thinks this way. And for every controversy, you're going to see that same setup. You're going to see that there are 2 different viewpoints for that controversy. So every controversy comes with a pair of viewpoints. It's kind of like it has a left shoe and a right shoe. So for every controversy, you're going to see 2 different viewpoints or 2 different arguments. So here's an example of a paired viewpoint. One would be school uniforms improve learning. The other part of that pair, or the other half of that viewpoint, would be school uniforms do not improve learning. Whenever you have a left shoe, you're always going to have a right shoe. So whenever you have one viewpoint, there's always going to be the opposite viewpoint. Viewpoints come in pairs. So here's another example of a paired viewpoint. Junk food bans in schools are effective. Can you guess what the paired viewpoint might be? It's going to probably be the opposite argument or the opposite viewpoint. Did you say junk food bans in school are not effective? If you did, you have the idea. So to sum this concept up, viewpoints are like sneakers. You always have a left shoe and a right shoe, and for every viewpoint, you always have kind of like a pro viewpoint and a con viewpoint. There's always 2 sides to every controversy, and we're calling those 2 sides a paired viewpoint. So if you look at this crazy graphic organizer, this is my filled out version of this, okay? And you'll see on my screen that I have highlighted it into 3 different sections. So I have like a yellow section, a pink section, and a green section. And each one of those sections is going to be devoted to a different controversy. So let's look a little bit more closely. Here's one controversy, okay, junk food bans in schools. So let's look at the different parts of the organizer. This is just this one part up here in the corner. Okay, so here junk food bans in school, down here at the bottom, this is my topic, my portal topic, my big broad thing. So I wrote junk foods. This oval, this is going to be my controversial issue. Okay, notice when I write my controversial issue down, I'm not taking a side. I'm not writing a viewpoint. I'm just saying, what's the issue? I'm not saying that it's good or bad. What's the issue? So I just said junk food bans in school. That's the issue. And your handout actually says controversy number 1. So then once you've identified what the issue is, you're going to be looking for the paired viewpoints, the left shoe and the right shoe. Those are going to be your paired viewpoints. So for this example, junk food bans in school are not effective and junk food bans in school are effective. And then the last thing you need to do is for each viewpoint, okay, these things, this is 1, 2, I didn't highlight all of them, but for each viewpoint, you are going to find evidence that supports that viewpoint. So these 1, 2, 3, those 3 pieces of evidence support viewpoint A, and 1, 2, 3, those 3 pieces of evidence support viewpoint B. So let's see if we can build one of these together, or if I can explain to you how I went about doing this. So I am going to minimize my screen. Actually, I'm just going to show you the first thing I did was I wrote the topic in the center of my organizer. So my topic's going to be junk food. The next thing I have to do is I have to identify what a controversy is. So to figure out the controversy, and that's going to help me come up with my paired viewpoint too, I have to go back to my portal. So I'm going to minimize my screen here, and we are going to go back to my opposing viewpoints portal. And to find my points of controversy, I can either go to featured viewpoints or I can go to viewpoints. It's going to be easier for you to start in featured viewpoints. If you go to featured viewpoints, the pairs, the viewpoint pairs are always going to be next to each other. So there's a viewpoint pair, there's a viewpoint pair, and there's a viewpoint pair. They're very obvious in featured viewpoints. So if you're a little bit confused or you want things to be very straightforward, use the featured viewpoints because it will be easy to determine what the argument pair is. So I see here that this first pair deals with banning junk food in schools. This one's banning junk food in schools is effective. This one's banning junk food in schools is not effective. This is a pair. It deals with the same controversy. So on my argument, or on my graphic organizer, I've got junk food. So now my controversy 1 is banning junk food in schools. I haven't picked a side yet, but I said that's what the controversy is. So now I'm going to say this is viewpoint 1 and this is viewpoint 2. So viewpoint 1, banning junk food in schools is not effective, and viewpoint 2 is banning junk food in schools is effective. Okay, so where did I get those 2 viewpoints from? Where did that pair come from? That pair came from the title of the first 2 articles. Okay, it's a pair. So each of those pairs are going to go into those boxes. So once I have that information on my screen, oops, sorry guys, my PowerPoint got away from me here. So once I have that information on my screen, the next thing I need to start doing is I need to start figuring out what evidence is there to support that viewpoint. How are people proving that that viewpoint is right? So how am I going to figure that out? Well, to figure out what evidence they're using, I'm going to actually have to skim the article, and let me show you what that might look like. So I'm going to open this article, Banning Junk Food in Schools is Effective, and I have it open over here. And I've highlighted the sections of the article that I think are good reasons that prove that banning junk food in schools is effective. So you're going to read through the article and you're going to look for 3 general reasons that prove pretty much whatever it says up here at the top. So I identified that banning junk foods in schools is effective because it has been credited with a promising drop in student obesity. I saw that it's effective because it helps students learn healthy habits, and because it has a life-altering influence. It impacts students' lives for the rest of their life, forever. And I was able to come up with a few of those just by reading the section headings. So I may not actually have to read the whole article in order to come up with the viewpoints. So up here, super fast, I've got my pair of viewpoints, and then there's